and some Christians don't appear to find this compatible with being spiritual. Indeed, it may be that many Christians see humor as competition to their spiritual quests and don't appreciate it, somehow failing to note that joy is the root of enjoyment and is a word liberally spread throughout Scripture. Once again, I will argue that opposing humor and spirituality involves a flawed definition of spiritual development. Walk into a bar. An airline pilot, a one-eyed Greek redhead, a giant, and an alligator walk into a bar. The bartender says, "What is this, some kind of joke?" I don't want to shoot off too much of my ammo before we even get through the book's introduction, but let me lay a foundation for why Christians should view humor as a vehicle for taking faith seriously and pursuing spiritual growth and understanding. In normal circumstances, we anticipate that certain people will walk into a bar together. When these expectations are shaken up and worlds collide, good jokes are the result. Humor is about incongruity, surprise, misdirection, reversal, and other elements that shatter expectation. That's why we can find humor all around us. Whether it arises as a clash of generations, body and soul, good and evil, wife and husband, or in imagining what might happen if a one-eyed Greek redhead pulls up a bar stool next to an alligator, funny occurs when worlds collide. These sorts of juxtapositions occur on every page of the Bible. Heaven invades earth, humanity encounters God, and the future overlaps with the present. Our expectations are dashed when Saul the super Jew who persecutes the new Christian community becomes Paul the Apostle to the Gentiles, Galatians chapter 2, verse 7, or an obscure shepherd kid, the youngest of Jesse's rather large brood of sons, becomes king of Israel, 1 Samuel chapter 16, verses 11 through 13. In our own lives, we feel the dialectic of being both saved and sinner, or heirs of the God of heaven who also get stuck in freeway traffic. Perhaps there is no bigger cosmic collision than God becoming flesh. And if I started that story by saying that a poor unmarried couple, a group of shepherds, and some foreign astrologers walked into a stable together, it might remind you of a joke. It is precisely that, a glorious, beautiful joke that no one expected, and it brought salvation. Humorously. "I learned today that it is a bad idea to pet a tiger," she said offhandedly. My apologies, but good adverb jokes are hard to come by. The point of this book is not that we should scour Scripture looking for humor on every page, although there is a lot more there than we usually recognize. Instead, the suggestion is that we should employ the structures and mechanisms of humor to gain insight into the Christian faith. Stated otherwise, the idea is that we think of Christianity and ourselves humorously. This is an adverbial approach to faith and humor. Adverbs, if I remember my junior high grammar correctly, describe actions and modify verbs. They talk about how something is done, and frequently end in ly. The primary theme in this book, then, is to meditate on what we might see in Scripture and in our faith when we look at them humorously. It is hard to define humor itself. A dictionary definition, such as something that is or is designed to be comical or amusing, hardly seems to capture the richness and variety of humor. Instead of attempting to define humor, it seems more helpful to focus on how it works. Humor builds on punchline surprises, disruption of the conventional, reversal of expectation, juxtaposition of seeming incommensurate things, challenging boundaries, misinterpretation, redefinition of the familiar, satire, paradox, irony, and other related devices. If these elements are also part of the very fabric of the Christian story, and I'm convinced they are, then reading Scripture humorously holds the possibility of opening dimensions of the faith in new ways, seeing things from a fresh vantage point, and recognizing some spiritual blind spots. God defeats Israel's enemies with a woefully undermanned military force armed with band instruments. Judges chapter 7 elevates Jacob the gimpy swindler to the role of patriarch of the chosen people.